Today on the farm vlog, we are going to be ripping out and replacing one of the doors on our house. Specifically, that one right there. We have some bad wood rot down at the bottom, and actually, if you can see the plate down, the kick plate down at the bottom is not looking super great, and when it rains, we get water seeping in to our basement, which is not acceptable. So we're going to replace it, and we're going to put in a catch pan underneath the kick plate that will funnel the water back out should we have those strong western winds during a rainstorm. That way we won't get water in our basement. So come along and let's have some fun. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be doing is be removing the framing around our existing door, and we're slowly then going to just kind of take apart the existing door. Hey folks, I apologize for not bringing you along on this journey as much as I would have liked. We just got caught up in the work yesterday trying to beat the sunset, and we didn't make it. So we barely got the door in before the sunset, and bugs came out and almost got in our house, which is why I didn't record too much. But I want to catch you guys up to date. What we did last time you saw, we were taking out our old door. We got that ripped out. The next thing we did was there was a bunch of expanding spray foam all around the edges. We ripped all that out to make it nice clean. We pulled any screws, any nails or staples that were along our framing on the inside and our exterior walls. We pulled all those out. We basically cleaned and prepped the area. After that, the next thing we did is our siding on the house actually came down a little bit too far. So we retrimmed that out with a jigsaw. It took about, I think it was ½ an inch off. Then the next thing we did was we noticed, this is why we ended up having problems and it took us longer. We noticed that our concrete underneath the kick plate here on the bottom actually had cracks all over the place, and you can kind of see evidence of that here. And so what we did was we took some caulk and we just sealed all that up real well to try to prevent water from coming in. The next thing we did was we put in this drain plate here on the bottom, and then we put the door frame, which is just one of those door kits you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's, in. And now we're working on putting the jambs in, or the shims rather, to adjust the door to make sure it opens and closes easily. So we're going to keep doing that, and I'll give you updates as we go. So we are shimming the door currently, and let me show you how we're doing that. What you do is you basically jam them in between the door jamb and your framing to basically press the door jamb board left or right. And then the other thing you're doing is, as you're doing that, you're screwing in your door jamb. So for example, there's a screw that we drove in right there. And you know, when you drive in the screw, you're screwing into your door frame here, which is actually pulling the door jamb back against the wall. So the idea being that when you're all done, you want your shims in there nice and tight, and it's held in there by those screws, and it maintains that nice line that you see when you close the door. And so when you're all done, you should have, I like to have at least 3 screws in each side. I suppose you could get away with 2, but I like to do 1 in the top, 1 in the middle, and 1 in the bottom. On this side, we actually did 4 screws because we needed 2 on the top to make sure that we were compressing here. And then on this side, we ended up only getting 3. The other reason why it's important to get a nice, tight seal against this is at some point in time later, your door is probably going to shift just because this is a steel door, so it's super heavy. It's going to pull on this top hinge quite a bit. You'll probably want to drive a good size screw 2 to 3 inches through here to help this door hinge stay against the door jamb here and basically firmly hold it in place. The thing is if you drive through that, you're going to be driving through the door jamb here and into the framing. And the reason why you want shims there to you want to make sure that when you drive that screw, you're not actually warping the door jamb when you go to do that. So, for example, that's why we have these shims here, so that later on when we go to do that, if we need to, we won't mess up this nice seal that we have when we close our door. All right, all that's left to do here, I believe, is caulk the heck out of everything. We're going to be shooting expanding spray foam along this side here. We are now using our expanding spray foam, which is this yellow stuff here, and we're basically filling in all the gaps that we can find. One of the reasons why we're replacing this door to begin with, there are actually 2 primary ones. One is wood rot, but the other one is we just had loads and loads of bugs coming in. And if you look around our old door, you'll see that they did use a lot of foam, but there were areas where there just wasn't enough on the side, and you had bugs coming in just real bad, especially down here at the bottom. So this time around, I'm not going to make that mistake, and we're just going to paste the heck out of our corners and just really pack that foam in there tight to make sure that we don't have any of those pests coming into our house in the future. If you guys want to do the same though, point of caution, that expanding spray foam is powerful, powerful stuff. And it can actually, believe it or not, warp your door jamb. When it expands, it can push against your door jamb to the point where it actually bows it out, and it can cause problems with, you know, that nice gap that we created in that for the seam of the door. So there's a special kind of expanding spray foam that's made specifically for doors and windows where the expansion power isn't supposed to basically do that. So it's a limited expansion power. I'll pop open the next can of foam and we'll start spraying away. Okay, we're also going to come around here and do down in here. And I'm actually going to cut this back and then caulk it really well on the exterior, because this foam stuff says it is water resistant, which is definitely not waterproof. All right, there we go. That should do it. So we'll let that sit and cure, and then after that is done, we're gonna come back around and caulk everything up. We're mostly done with the door replacement project. I think it turned out pretty well. We finished with expanding foam spray, and then we went ahead and caulked all the exterior seams on the door, and I'll show you that real quickly. We basically ran a bead all along the top here, the entire duration of it, and then we continued on down the side. And then at the bottom, we had an interesting problem because we had too much of a gap here. And so I filled it with expanding spray foam, cut off the excess, and then I ran a bead of caulk, and you can kind of see the foam poking through there if you look real close in a couple of places. But I'm hoping that it remains waterproof. And I did a similar thing over on this side as well. And all the way up to the top. The only thing that remains to be done, aside from project cleanup, which I'm going to try to get done tonight, is to paint the door. Well, that was fun. I hope you learned something. I know I learned a lot about replacing doors. So until next time, take care.